Hello, I'd like to welcome AJ Mikus. AJ is the facilities manager for Daniell Heights. He's going to present a report out on the Daniell Heights damages Kaizen.
Thanks, Ruth. Good morning. As Ruth said, that I'm doing a report out on a Kaizen currently in progress. We're in our beginning stages of that Kaizen, so we're not near completion, but we feel we have enough to kind of report on some issues that we've come across and some tools that we've used to get us to the point we're at now. So we started this Kaizen in late spring. It was put on hold for much of this summer due to the summer being one of our busier times in the Heights. We started this process up again and have gained some momentum recently, but we're still in the very early stages of this Kaizen. So for those of you who may not know, Daniell Heights is in our on-campus apartment complex located up the hill from Watts and Hillside. We have 76 apartment buildings, which contain 333 units and 513 beds. We house a diverse population of undergrad, grad, and PhD students. We offer year-round housing for single students, families, as well as a good number of international students. Daniell Heights was originally known as Sheldon Heights. So it was built in two phases. The lower Heights was constructed in 1960, and the upper Heights was added on in 1965. The complex went through a major renovation recently, starting in 2015, and was completed in the summer of 2019. So what's the problem? So every summer, we go through our apartment flipping process to clean and repair units after move out and get those units ready for new occupancy. Due to its complex nature, we've discovered many roadblocks and issues that have kind of come up from that process, specifically in how we bill tenants for damages that go above and beyond our normal wear and tear. So some of the issues that we've kind of discovered are we have a lack of standardized policies and procedures. We do have some internal procedures written down, but the process as a whole, we're not standardized, we're not written down, so there's a lack of that. There's a lack of communication and transparency of expectations, both internally with other departments and to our customers. We want to reduce the amount of repairs needed and the amount that tenants are billed. Damages have gone unbilled in the past, and then damages that are billed for, the damage rolls over between fiscal years, but the money does not. So what I mean by that is, if I have, for example, a tenant that moves out in June, being that that's the end of our fiscal year, if there's damage discovered and that tenant is billed in June, that money goes away because our budget does not roll over to fiscal years. So we're trying to work through that, maybe through a P account where that money is set aside. So if I can't get the repairs done in the same fiscal year, that money is still waiting there for when I can get that damage scheduled and have a contractor come in and do the necessary repairs. So that's another roadblock that we've come across in the past. So who are our stakeholders? In this process, our stakeholders are facilities management, our business support center, and then our housing and residence life departments. And then most importantly, our customer, the Daniell Heights residents. So where do we start? We want to try to keep our focus narrowed as much as possible, but many of our roadblocks and root causes reside in other processes. So I guess when you're trying to work through a Kaizen, it's very important that you try to focus and keep on task as much as possible, because things can become overwhelming when you're looking at too much. But I guess my advice is that don't be afraid to look into other processes if that's where some of your root causes reside. So again, that challenge is finding the sweet spot between focusing as detailed and encompassing as possible, but not being overwhelmed and looking at way too much. So try to keep it as focused as possible, but again, if those root causes are residing in other processes or things that need to be brought up, you know, you really do need to focus on, you know, the task at hand. And if that becomes a little bit more than what you intended, you know, that's okay, but you know, try to focus as much as possible at the same time. So where we started process mapping and documenting our roadblocks and areas of improvement along the way. So for this, we chose Miro for our Kaizen board. Miro is something that was new to many of us, but it definitely is a tool that's helped us in many ways that, you know, are typical what we've normally been used to for Kaizens. It does create some very, you know, positive things. You know, main thing is that we can collaborate remotely. So, you know, being kind of still in the midst of our pandemic, and then just with our working schedules, sometimes we can't all get in the same room. So this has been great as far as working remotely, and also being able to work independently. So, you know, if we have some time at the end of our day and we want to jump in here and kind of look at, you know, mapping more of our processes, we can do that independently, and we, you know, everybody can kind of see those changes, and then also in real time, you know, we can all work in this board together while we're talking about it, you know, add things, move things around. So it's been a great tool for us. So as you can see in our board here, you know, the zoomed out part of it, you can zoom in and this, you know, you can see what we're talking about. But as you can see here, our parking lot, we have a space for that, our solution safe, some of the processes that we chose to kind of map out, and then finally some action items that we want to kind of review and do before our next meeting. So a little bit closer, here's one of the processes. So as you can see, we kind of used our sticky notes to map out that process into a flow chart, and we color coded those sticky notes to kind of show where which party is responsible for that part of the procedure. So in this case, our green sticky notes are facilities actions, our red ones are housing actions. So that's how we did that. And then we used some of these caption, as you can see, the red captions and then the yellow captions. So the red captions were obstacles that we came across. And we're still in our beginning stages, so we're just mapping out those obstacles. We're not trying to jump to conclusions yet or solutions. We're just kind of saying, well, this is something that when we get to this point in the process that we've hit roadblocks in the past. So that's a good tool just to kind of note that, and then we can go back and look at, okay, where are our roadblocks, and you know, what can we do potentially to overcome those. And then our yellow captions are just where additional info is needed. So again, we want to kind of make this readable. So it's, you know, want to have these sticky notes as concise as possible. But if it does need some additional information, that caption's a way of doing that. So the captions kind of look like this. This would be something that needed some additional information. So on this part of the process, our move out inspection, I just noted that the inspection sometimes is not filed right away if I'm waiting on a quote from a contractor. So again, if you need some additional information, we use the caption tool as part of a way of doing that. So the next thing would be those red captions. So in this case, you know, we did hit a roadblock in the past. So during our furniture setup, that's pretty at the beginning stages of flipping the apartment. So I just noted that last year we struggled with this. We got both furnishing and unfurnishing requests late in the process, sometimes even after the move-in has already happened. So you know, that's just a roadblock that we've come across, and then Courtney responded with, this is something we could definitely change, you know, request by creating a 30-day notification just so we can alleviate some of the stress of trying to do something that's supposed to be done at the beginning and, you know, kind of keeping it at that point in the process. So, so as far as our Kaizen, again, one of our goals was to reduce the amount that we're charging tenants. So like in this case, this was our breakdown of charges last summer. And then if you're looking at this pie chart, the blue represents no charges. So about 2/3 of our apartments that went through the move out process received no charges. The red is under $250 worth of damage. So a lot of this is just minor cleaning charges. Maybe something wasn't cleaned as well as it should have been. And then if you look, the yellow, green, and orange is what we're trying to reduce. So this is usually, there might be some heavy cleaning damages along with some minor damage. And then the green and orange are definitely some of our more major damages, where it's a burnt countertop or cuts in the floor, some of the things that are more costly to repair. So again, we're trying to reduce that section of the pie chart, the yellow, the green, and the orange. But as you can see, a majority of our apartments do not receive any damages currently. And then a good chunk of our, you know, receive minimal cleaning damage charges. So we're not at a bad point right now, but obviously we still want to, there's room for improvement. We still want to reduce that where we're charging a lot more money. So these are our goals. So for the Kaizen overall, again, we want to document that standard procedure, get something down on paper that if we have other managers come in, that they can pick up where we left off, and just, you know, something that we have for to refer back to as a resource if we do have questions, or even something that we need to tweak later. It's just nice to have something as a starting point for new managers, or, you know, improvement events in the future. So again, we want to reduce that amount of repairs that we're billing tenants for, and we really feel like we can do that through improving the tenant onboarding and offboarding processes to make things more transparent. Some of the solution safe, you know, conclusion jumping was, if we can do a better job of that, and, you know, maybe or give the tenants a copy of, you know, what it costs to have a floor replaced, or a microwave, or, you know, fridge, or some, you know, maybe having some of that information on the onboarding process, that'll help with, you know, having the tenants realize that, hey, if I don't take care of this, this is what it's going to cost. And hopefully that'll create an atmosphere of, you know, the tenants will be taking care of their things a little bit more, at least be more mindful of, you know, what it might cost them if they don't. And then finally, to keep things from falling through the cracks, again, if we can kind of get that documented standard procedure, you know, get everybody on the same page as to, you know, how things are supposed to run, that we can kind of reduce those things. You know, we're, like I said, we've had damages that have gone unbilled in the past, and I think that was a, you know, kind of more of a lack of communication and a lack of consistency of how we do things. And I think, you know, we can really focus on that in this Kaizen, and, you know, create a good standard procedure. A lot of those things that are, you know, we can kind of keep from falling through the cracks. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, AJ. I really appreciate you taking the time for this.